Guys, I'm looking at this, and we are 6 weeks away from our event. Where are we?
So we know it's going to be on June 24th.
Right.
We know it's going to be virtual. That being said, we are thinking of ideas for a fun host, maybe a well-known celebrity, someone that has a lot of cachet, has a fun personality.
What about Beyonce?
Wow.
Yeah, that's an idea.
Good idea.
Tom Hanks?
Okay.
Love Tom Hanks.
He's funny.
Ellen DeGeneres. She's a talk show host.
Plenty of experience.
Yeah,
Probably
also
a great
funny.
host.
We could use Oprah then.
Oprah would be amazing.
Oprah would be a good one. I do have one idea. How about Brad Pitt?
Ooh. Or George Clooney.
Oh, another good one.
Will Smith.
Love that idea.
All right. These are great ideas. Does anybody know how to get in touch with any of these people?
No.
Okay.
But I have a great idea. I do know someone. Santa! I totally know him, and he's not busy this time of year. It's June.
Here comes Santa Claus, right down Santa Claus Lane.
Right? It's a great idea.
Do we tell her? Does she know he doesn't exist?
He doesn't even go here.
What are you guys whispering about?
Nothing. We'll tell you when you're older.
Okay.
What about Steph Curry?
I know you love basketball, but do you even know him?
No.
No.
Okay. He's out. I have a wicked good idea. How about Tom Brady?
He's probably too busy unpacking from his recent move.
And you know he doesn't play for the Patriots anymore, right? Guys, a great idea just came to me. What about Reggie Rivers?
Isn't he the guy that spoke at the Coast Guard Foundation dinner?
Yes, and he was really funny.
And he's a professional broadcaster and motivational speaker.
And he has great hair.
Oh, wow. Well, welcome to the 2020 Marine Industries Association of South Florida annual meeting and award ceremony. This year, we are virtual. Thank you for joining us. I'm Reggie Rivers. I am a former Denver Broncos running back, and I don't want my dear mother to get upset about that video. Mom, I am their favorite. I was their first choice, just like I am your first choice and your favorite, even though I am your fourth-born child. Now, as a former football player, it is an honor to be here in South Florida, where the 72 Dolphins are still the gold standard in NFL perfection. We're here today to celebrate the successes and the impact of the organizations that are part of MIASF. Now, this association was created 60 years ago. It has endured through tough economies, terrible storms, difficult political environments. The marine industry is now a $12 billion segment of the economy in South Florida. $9 billion of that is in Broward County alone, and that's about the same size as the combined revenue of all the NFL teams. All right, so here's our agenda for today. Our program will run about an hour. We'll watch some videos, we'll hear from some speakers, you might learn a few things, and we'll have a good time. And speaking of good time, I want to share with you a pun. You know why? Because I know you would love a pun. Did you hear about the boat that retired? It had a fairy tale ending, right? Yeah? No? No? Okay. All right, to kick things off, we've got Doug West, MIASF's newly elected chairman. He was also a running back in college. He played at the University of Houston, where his claim to fame was that he pretended to be Earl Campbell during practice so his defense could get ready to play the Texas Longhorns. That's the only time it's a compliment to say, you've got thighs like Earl Campbell. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Doug West.
Thank you, Reggie. And I do have thighs like Earl Campbell. So welcome, everyone. As Reggie mentioned, the baton has been passed to this new board, and we are committed to serving not only the MISF members, but the entire marine industry. Our attention will be on the growth and well-being of all companies and people in this industry. We will help build the framework and strengthen and fine-tune our industry. The focus will be on providing the direction and coordination needed to help all marine businesses work together to ensure the marine industry continues to thrive in South Florida. We hope that you all, as MISF members, share this vision and that you understand our collective duty to serve as ambassadors of the industry. Now let me introduce you to the new MIASF board. First, the executive committee. As Reggie mentioned, I am the chairman. Our vice chairman, Jimmy Harrison of Frankie and Jimmy's Propeller. Our secretary treasurer, James Brewer of Director Shipyards, and our past chairman, Jim Noggle from Lauderdale Boatyard. Now the newly elected board members, Glenn Allen of Fleet Miami, Julie Berry of Marina Investments Group, Tyler Chappelle of the Chappelle Group, Andrew Duell of Informa Exhibitions, and Dean Dutoit of National Marine Suppliers, and finally Michael Kelly of Bradford Marine. Our midterm board members are Megan Lagasse Washington from Pier 66 Marina, Graham Lord of Fairport Yacht Support, Marieke Van Peer of Sea Haven Super Yacht Marina. And on behalf of the MISF board, I would like to thank our retiring board members, Garnett Bird from Marquip, Walter Duke from Walter Duke and Partners, and David Reed, our past chairman from the Triton. Reggie, back to you.
Thank you, Doug, my bald brother. I appreciate you. All right, how about another pun? So Sherlock Holmes and his sidekick, Dr. Watkins, they return to the dock, and Sherlock says, "Hey, the boat's gone." And Dr. Watkins says, "No ship, Sherlock." Oh, I know you like that one. You guys can't pretend that wasn't funny. All right, next up is MIASF's CEO and president, Phil Purcell. Now, any of you who know Phil, you know that he is a force of nature. He does not take no for an answer ever. So when he agreed to take this job, it was supposed to be just for 1 year. But every year, Phil asks himself, do I want to keep doing this? The answer is always no, I don't. But since Phil is the kind of person who won't take no for an answer, he's stuck in this loop. He's been here for 6 years, going on 6 more. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Phil Purcell.
Reggie Rivers, thanks for the kind introduction. You know, Reggie Rivers, when you think of him, you got to think football player, you have to think broadcaster, but what comes to mind for me is author. And so what I keep next to my bed every night, and I read it if I can't sleep, is The Vance, the beginning and the end, which after this could be the end for me. That said, welcome everyone to the 60th anniversary and welcome to our virtual annual meeting. That said, we got to address COVID before we get started. So obviously this was thrown from left field. Nobody saw it coming. And when it did, a lot of people had to make a lot of decisions. The people that made some great decisions were the frontline workers for us at the end of the day. So I want to thank the nurses, the doctors, the firemen, the policemen, the Custom Border Protection agents, and the Coast Guard at the end of the day. They all helped our industry immensely. What helped us on the local and state level, I want to thank our Fort Lauderdale mayor and the commission and the Broward County mayor and the commission, because without them, they wouldn't have kept us essential. And the nice thing is most of our businesses kept working during this, maybe at a limited capacity, but if you look at the yards, if you look at the marinas, they're probably still up at close to 90% occupancy, and hopefully some of the work will come from that. That work, by the way, leads into, you know, wages that pay better than 16% better than the state average, which again, as we keep going through these things, I hope that more young people will enter into our industry. The apprenticeship program was something that we had started over the last year. We've been working towards using Salty Jobs as a vehicle towards how do we get another program that bring youth into our industry. I want to thank Atlantic Technical and Bob Crawford, which we'll thank later, and John also from there, John Felser. Without them, that program wouldn't have gone, and without the dedication of our members that supported in the yards and businesses that did. I also want to thank, you know, we created that series, Salty Jobs. Sean Smith is no longer with the association. He's gone on and moved on to some other things, and we commend him for the service that he gave here and the professionalism that he brought. Megan Pickett has come on as our intern and now is a full-time employee, and with her brings new skill sets and new opportunity. The infrastructure, you know, as you all know, we've been advocating on behalf of the community for infrastructure, in particular over on the FEC corridor. And so we initiated a study last year, and the study came back, and guess what? It was pretty good news. We can get a 21-foot bridge, a 56-foot opening bridge, an 80-foot fixed bridge, or a tunnel. A lot of the electeds, a few of the electeds would love to see a tunnel. We'd love it too, but it's not an unlimited budget. It's $3 billion and would require additional infrastructure that may never be able to be met. That said, a 56-foot bridge is in the $500 million range. We can make it iconic, and it carries over Broward Boulevard, which is really important to the rest of the community as these joint government centers perhaps get built, meaning the county and the city together over here. Maybe the Panthers move downtown, and a new federal courthouse somewhere north or south of the river. That said, those options are on the table, and I'm glad to report that Miami-Dade actually is looking at how do they activate their rail down there. And by them doing that, it'll force our county, which if our county doesn't come to the table, you don't get regionalism in this community. So Broward, the good news is I think they're moving forward to at least talk closer to the train and push the next phase of that study, which is the PD&E, to the next level. Another great news, FLIBS, Tom Marine Associates, we contracted with him again to come to the 2019 FLIBS. If you guys recall, back in 2015, we did it, about an $857 million economic impact to the state. And as Reggie said, he talked about the comparison to the NFL. The NFL just hosted the Super Bowl in Miami. It was about a $450 million economic impact in a time in February, which those rooms would be filled either way. And this is no disrespect to the NFL, but municipalities, it's about 50 to 55 million bucks that they paid of taxpayer money to lure that game here. Meanwhile, we don't ask for any money for the most part. We bring the show here and we fund it and we police protect it and the firemen show up and it delivers an event that this year I'm happy to report was $1.3 billion economic impact to the state. Back in 2015, it was $500 million of direct sales. That's $100 million a day. In 2019, it was $715 million. That's $143 million a day. So again, when we look at the opportunity here and for FLIBS, everyone says, hey, is FLIBS going to go on this year? Of course it's going on. This is North America. When hurricanes hit us and stuff, we bounce back up. Same from the pandemic. We're going to bounce back up. But when you think of FLIBS, don't think of a 70,000 person game that meets for 4 hours and they have pinch points where everyone has to get in the gate. They have half times and bathrooms that everyone has to use the bathroom. This is a 5-day show, 7 sites, over 90 acres. And the good news is we have probably one of the best partners in the world in Informa, one of the best largest trade show producer in the world that's at the table on the national level and the international level following CDC guidelines to create the best standards for our industry. Those type of things are what's going to make the attendance for FLIBS strong, but equally important, it's the reset for North America. We all know how important it is to our industry and our community and our businesses, so we look forward to seeing you there. When you look at what's going on over the years too, and you think of the legacy companies, so you think of, when I think of yards, I think of Rowley Marine. When I think of electric, I think of Ward's Marine. When I think of Director Shipyard and the various places they've been and now their commitment to build another facility up in Fort Pierce. There's a lot of different names that are legacy. Rybovich up in Palm Beach, and then Merle Stevens, RMK. And I look at the investments. There's one commonality here in all those brands. They've all made recent investments and they continue to do so. Then we had some new people come in. Our chairman, Doug West, from the Carlisle Group, gets involved with a thing called LMC. Over there, the standards have been raised and the professionalism continues to be raised. And then we're fortunate, we got a new board member, Michael Kelly and his father, John. They stepped into our business over a year ago, and the first acquisition was Bradford Marine. And you thought, God, that's pretty bold of them. And they're boaters, and they came from private equity, and they came from the cell phone industry. But during COVID, they made a deal on pipe welders. And we all know Trey and the family there and George and the great legacy they left in our industry. A lot of people maybe hit the pause button there. They didn't. They doubled down their investment in the industry, which is an attribute to everyone that's on this call and our industry as a whole. They believe in you, and we believe in them. And that's what we need to move this thing forward, per Doug's comment. So community leadership and things, those are the things that are going to be required to get some of the infrastructure needs done, work with the CBB, work with the Coast Guard, work with our local electeds to get the things that we need for our community and for our industry as a whole. So all I would ask you, when people say, hey, is your industry diverse? Go into a yard, it's the United Nations. Go into a boat show. You hear accents from Haiti to the Dominican Republic to Australia, New Zealand, Europe, you name it. Guess what? We own this business. We own the diversity. All I would ask you is get involved, look to the future, and lead by example here. And if we do that, there's really a bright future for the next 60 years. So what I'd like to do is go to a video that celebrates this year. Could you do that?
congratulations on a great year, and thank you, Phil. Every time I hear Phil speak, I'm reminded of that old parable. If you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he sits in a boat all day and drinks beer. So good work, Phil. Keep it up. All right, so MIASF had a stroke of brilliance 4 years ago when it launched the Salty Jobs series. Now, these are workforce education videos that highlight marine jobs and marine career paths. These videos are so good, they won a Telly Award. Now, these videos are aimed at young audiences with co-hosts who are relatable to that audience and stories that help people envision themselves succeeding in the marine industry. We want to say thank you to Media Lab, who has been our partner in this from the very beginning. Let's take a look at the work Salty Jobs is doing in recruiting.
Okay, I'm rolling. Stand by and action.
I'm Sarah Kelly.
I'm Sean Smith, and this is Salty Jobs. We're here today at Global Marine Travel, at Water Taxi, today at Resolve Maritime Academy.
We're at Yacht Equipment and Parts. We're at Lauderdale Marine Center.
Today at Blue Water Crew Training.
We're at Marine Professionals Incorporated.
Today at High Seas Hydraulics. Megan, the mic is yours now.
I'm Megan Piggott, and this is Salty Jobs.
What a clever way to promote the marine industry and marine jobs. And I'm reminded of another pun. How much does a pirate pay to get his ears pierced? A buccaneer. Yeah. Oh, yeah. These are getting to you. They're going to get to you. All right, next up is Kelly Skidmore, MIASF's Public Relations Specialist. She is a sweet and wonderful human being. She's going to share some information with you and recognize one of our award winners. Please welcome Kelly Skidmore.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Reggie. In early 2019, the Marine Research Hub of South Florida partnered with Ocean Exchange to transition the organization from Savannah to Fort Lauderdale, where it held its 9th annual competitive award event at the Broward County Convention Center, aligning with the dates of the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. Ocean Exchange funds startup companies with marine-based solutions to many of the Earth's challenges, including energy and sustainability. The $10,000 Broward College Innovation Award was presented to Solis, a provider of sustainable, eco-friendly food service disposables made from plant starches. During the 4th annual Marine Research Hub Summit, held aboard the MIASF Hospitality Lounge at FLIBS, the winners of the Ocean Exchange Awards gave brief presentations on their winning startup companies. The Orcel Award, sponsored by Wallenius Wilhelmsen, was presented to Chris Graves of Noon Energy for its innovative work developing a new battery that uses ultra-low-cost storage media and can match the high energy efficiency of lithium-ion technology. Most recently, Chris participated in the Mars 2020 rover launch as a member of the team behind the CO2 electrolyzer device that will make the first demonstration of oxygen production from Mars atmospheric CO2. The $100,000 Neptune Award, sponsored by the Marine Research Hub and the Angus Littlejohn Family Foundation, was presented to Nicholas Flanders of Opus 12 for the production of 16 high-value chemical products and is focused on producing carbon monoxide, ethylene, and methane from CO2. Just prior to the Ocean Exchange event, Bill Gates visited the Opus 12 facility to learn more about the innovation, which was showcased on an episode of Inside Bill's Brain, a 3-part documentary. These are the types of fascinating startups that will continue to be attracted to compete at Ocean Exchange in South Florida, growing our reputation for oceanographic research and creating the platform for the blue economy to thrive. We are very grateful to the MIASF members who helped sponsor Ocean Exchange, Global Marine Travel, National Marine Suppliers, John Kelly of Bradford Marine, Bahia Mar, IGY, and Port Everglades. It is now my pleasure to announce that Melissa Melrose is the winner of the Frank Herhold Memorial Scholarship. Melissa is from Gilbertsville, a small town in upstate New York. She attended the University of New Haven in Connecticut, where she received a bachelor's degree in both marine biology and environmental science. She is currently in the 2nd year of her master's program for marine science at Nova Southeastern University. Her research is now focused on short fin mako sharks. Congratulations, Melissa. Back to you, Reggie.
Thank you. Great job, Kelly. Can somebody help Kelly get off the stage, please? Thank you. All right, so we appreciate that, Kelly. And Phil sent me a text asking me to stop telling these boating puns, but I said I'd rather nautical. Nautical. That one tickled me. Lori Wheeler is vice president of MIASF. She also grew up as one of 9 children. That's a big family. She says she has a phonographic memory for song lyrics. She remembers everything she hears, but she's so bad with numbers that she can't recall exactly how many kids were in her family growing up. Lori, the answer is 9. Please welcome Lori Wheeler.
Wow. Thank you, Reggie, for that humbling introduction. I also want to make it known that I am also sweet like Kelly. But anyway, it is my honor to thank the MISF membership committee members for their tireless work on behalf of the association. They are to be commended for their ongoing efforts to build membership through popular events such as Maritime Mondays, member meetings, better business luncheons, and special events with our community partners like Network with a Purpose that we do in conjunction with Mission United. I am pleased to recognize 3 outstanding members of the committee who have been extraordinary stewards of the marine industry for many years, and unfortunately will be stepping down from the committee this year. Please join me in thanking Pam Stolars, Lisa Samuels, and Jay Strauss. Each of these amazing folks have been volunteering almost the entire time I have worked for the association. Sincerely, thank you for everything you have done for us, as well as the industry. The Education and Workforce Committee has also had a very busy and successful year in outreach and engagement through activities such as the Boys and Girls Club Marine Jobs Panel, the Marine Industry Summer Camp that we held at Stranahan High School, presentations at the ABYC and IBEX conferences, the 3rd annual elevator pitch competition with the South Broward High School, the Battle of the Boats design competition with New River Middle School, the continuation and evolution of Salty Jobs, and the creation of Florida's first yacht service technician apprenticeship program, which, by the way, is a great segue into the announcement of MISF's Award of Excellence winners. First is Bob Crawford, Director of Atlantic Technical College. We partnered with them, along with the Florida Department of Education, to establish the state's first yacht service technician apprenticeship program. Bob believes in the importance of apprenticeship, and from the beginning was the leading force on the team that made this opportunity a reality. Spearheading this effort that will ultimately develop a cadre of high-skill, high-wage yacht service technicians, through career advancement opportunities to those individuals that graduate from the program for our participating boatyards and shipyards. We could not have accomplished this impressive goal without his knowledge, vision, and leadership. Thank you, Bob, and congratulations on receiving the 2020 MISF Award of Excellence. Next, we are honoring Bill Walker, President of Water Taxi. Bill has a rich history of working in the maritime industry, starting in Massachusetts, where he earned a degree in marine transportation from the Massachusetts Maritime Academy, which of course means he's wicked smart. He is an amazing partner to MISF, the marine industry, and the community at large, serving on multiple committees and boards as an astute and engaged business owner. His generous spirit, steady leadership, and sense of humor are truly an asset to us and are a testament to the commitment to create a positive environment for his dedicated staff that interact with the guests and visitors who visit Fort Lauderdale and enjoy its beautiful waterways. Congratulations, Bill, and many thanks for all you do. Now please join us in this video presentation of MISF's Advocacy Awards.
Advocating for marine businesses is a key component of the association. This year presented some unique challenges which we did not face alone, thanks to the efforts of champions who stepped up on our behalf. Senator Marco Rubio, Congressman Ted Deutsch, State Representative Chip LaMarca, Fort Lauderdale City Commissioner Ben Swarenson, Captain Joanne Burdian. They all deserve our gratitude.
All right, thank you. And Phil texted me again asking me not to tell any more of these puns, but I texted back, I said, Phil, I am not going to get tied down by this peer pressure. All right. You may have noticed that Phil Purcell and I are nearly the same size. We're both tall, we're both big, we both sink in the water. We are a pair of anchors. Now, due to healthcare regulations and the laws of physics, we cannot both stand on this stage at the same time. So here to present the Golden Anchor Award is the Golden Anchor himself, Mr. Phil Purcell. Phil, wait for me to get off before you get on the stage.
You gotta love Reggie Rivers, don't you? You gotta love the jokes. I've been texting the heck out of him too, just so you guys know. You guys know how I love the text. So when you, the Golden Anchor Award, when you think about it, it's the most prestigious award that the association gives out. And you look at the names that have received it over the year, the Joe Robanos from RPM, the Bob Rossiolis from Rossioli, Christy Hebert from Ward's Marine, and the Dennison family got it last year when you think of how important Broward was to how this industry grew. This story is totally different, however. You got to go up thousands of miles, and you got to start about 30 miles off the coast of Massachusetts and go to this little island called Nantucket. And when you go off that island, you find this great family that moved there, of Portuguese descent, I believe. And the father builds his daughter a dinghy, and his daughter's a dinghy. And Charlie builds him a dinghy, and all of a sudden this woman goes out and starts rowing out in the marshes and in the harbor and starts getting this love for boating and going. And next thing you know, Dad says, hey, I'm going to get you a whaler. The whaler had been in the family apparently for many generations and still resides in that family. That's the beautiful thing about Boston Whaler, and I'm sure a lot of people know that on this Zoom. So she gets a Boston Whaler. She starts putzing around. Dad gives her a little more, leash to go out, and the mom says, don't let her get too far. She's not allowed to swim from the boat. She's not allowed to drop anchor. And she builds this confidence of the sea. Out of that all comes this affinity for this marine lifestyle, for the ocean as a whole. And she decides, hey, I'm going to head south. I'm going to figure out what opportunities exist for me. And guess where she comes to? Right, Fort Lauderdale, yachting capital of the world. She goes over to a little place that's now known as Pier 66. She goes, hey, could I get a job here? Could I work on your dock? She'd been working up in the Nantucket boat basin, so she figured she had the skill set to help the mariners here. And guess what? They hire her. They hire her as the first female dock attendant. Then she goes on and says, I'm going to get my captain's license. I'm going to do this. And for those of us who have gray hair, you remember the Trumpies and those wood boats that used to, be regulars on our waterways. And she gets a job working for a family in Chicago on a Trumpy. She goes and next thing keeps moving up, right? That's what you do in life. You keep trying. Where are you going to push your game to? And she pushed her game to this next boat, to a guy named Bernie Little, who had a bunch of boats called Big Eagle, which we all remember. Then it goes to, Limitless, a guy named Leslie Wexner. We all know who Leslie is, started the Gap, Victoria's Secrets, things like that. those eyes keep getting bigger, and Ted Arison, a little guy who started a cruise line, ended up being Carnival Cruise Lines, and his family ended up doing the Miami Heat, buys a 70-foot striker, they need someone to run it, take care of it. That same person gets hired for that job. And then you go and get with this family that immigrated from Cuba, and it's the Van Hool family on a boat called Crilly. So when you start thinking of those names, those are the who's who, not only of our industry, but of a lot of economies around this world. And so it's with the great honor that I say this. Patience is knowledgeable, passionate, honest, and above all, has a heart as big as our industry. So I want you to watch this next video because it's really important and well-deserving.
My thoughts on Patience, I have a few, and they're all very positive. Patience is the real deal. She's been in the Marine Industries Association for a lot of years and with the industry as a whole for a few tide tables, and she's always weathered them well.
Over all the years, all the boat shows, all the industry initiatives, all the governmental issues, all the annual picnics, plowed regattas, waterway cleanup, social events, Patience is the one constant in our organization.
Patience represents everything great about our industry. She is kind, she is smart, she's tenacious, and she serves the association so well. She is a resource for leaders in our industry from all aspects.
I can't think of a single committee, event, membership, website, board meeting, what have you, that you and I have not sat on. I think that's what makes you so special and so significant to the association, because you've been a part of everything.
After sharing a cubicle and working literally shoulder to shoulder with Patience for several years, I can attest that she is one of the strongest, most dedicated, and most effective advocates the South Florida marine industry has ever had.
I'm very grateful to be able to work with Patience, making the marine industry stronger, boating more enjoyable, and our community and waterways a better place to live and work.
I remember when Frank Herhold introduced us so long ago, and he said, "Get to know that girl. She's the glue that holds it all together. Everyone depends on her." And he was right.
There's not a single accomplishment this association has made in the last 20 years without you being a part of it.
She's been a champion for our industry and a heavy lifter behind the scenes for so many years.
She's sustainable, she's reliable, she's been a heck of an asset to the Marine Industries Association of South Florida and beyond.
Patience is as passionate about protecting the jobs of our industry and training our future workforce as she is about preserving access to our waterways.
She knows more about the history and operations of the MISF than anyone. She's the go-to person for all things marine industry. She keeps the board focused and often is the voice of reason, or at least the only one who remembers how we got to where we are.
You're such an asset to the Marine Industries Association of South Florida.
You can count on Patience to make sure that you have your ducks in a row, because if you don't, she'll call you out on it.
Patience, your thumbprint on this industry is significant. You do so much for not only the association, but the industry at large, the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. These things would look so different without you.
I know that Frank Herhold would agree and be very proud of Patience receiving the recognition she deserves with getting the Golden Anchor Award. Thank you, Patience.
I'm so honored to know you. Thank you for being my rock and my friend, and for all that you do.
On behalf of Pier 66 Marina, we'd like to congratulate Patience on her Golden Anchor Award.
Congratulations from the entire Dennison family. It's well deserved, and we're so excited for you.
On behalf of Wards Marine Electric, congratulations, well deserved on the Golden Anchor Award.
Congratulations, Patience.
Congratulations on winning the Golden Anchor Award from the Nantucket Bassett family.
Congratulations, Patience. Nice job.
Congratulations on the Golden Anchor Award. You so deserve it. We love you, Patience.
Congratulations. Woo!
It's my honor to award the 2020 Golden Anchor Award to Patience. Please watch this acceptance video.
I'm honored and humbled to receive this recognition, particularly when I reflect on the men and women who came before me. They are the people who created the foundation of the marine industry here in South Florida, building their businesses by taking a risk and hard work. They are the second and third generations of the family business, adapting to ensure our future. They're the elected officials who embraced the industry and invested in infrastructure, realizing the economic viability of boating and what it means to their communities. What an amazing club to belong to. It is difficult for me to express my gratitude for this recognition because I sincerely love my work at MIASF. To be honest, the old saying, do what you love and you never work a day, is true. I'm grateful every day for the friends, now family, at MIASF team, and for the membership who give of their time to make the industry better for everyone, not just for their individual businesses. Thank you again for your friendship and this incredible honor. Now, to find a place to display it that Sherlock cannot reach.
Oh, hey, that's our Patience. She is in the room with us. Patience. Thank you, Patience Khan, for all you do. You are a lovable person, and it is clear that everyone who meets you is touched by you and grateful for all that you do. So thank you very much. All right, so it's now, we get to meet our keynote speaker, but before we do, I have to just share with you a text exchange that I had with Phil. Phil sent me a very impressive text with a stern warning, but I texted back, Phil, I like big boats and I cannot lie. What do you want me to do, man? All right, so now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special treat. Our keynote speaker is Patrick Lahey. He is the president and co-founder of Triton Submarines. This man is a visionary. He is a magnet who attracts some of the brightest minds and the biggest thinkers in the world. You're about to see some of the projects he's worked on, and I promise you, it is amazing. Mr. Patrick Lahey, how are you, my friend?
I'm very well. Thank you very much, Reggie. I really appreciate you. It says something about, I can't start my video for some reason. You can't start your video because the host has stopped it. So you might want to let that go. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, you click that little video button, turn it on.
Okay,
hey, there it is. Look at that.
Thank you very much, Reggie, for that wonderful.
What is that behind you?
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, members of the Marine Industry Association of South Florida. I am honored to be here this evening to help you celebrate the 60th anniversary of your wonderful organization, and also to have an opportunity to tell you about my oceanic journey. I have been in love with the ocean since I was a young lad, and I'm going to go ahead and start a presentation. I'm sitting inside of my facility up here in Sebastian, Florida, and you can see one of our submarines right there. Actually, you can see a few of them over here. We are going to just start a presentation here. Just give me 1 second here to get that going, and we will be good to go. I will hopefully get this figured out. I'm better at building submarines than I am at running these sort of things. So here we go. Whoops. Okay, share. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that. I want to just take a moment to first of all, again, yeah, well, no, I did that already. Okay, so I was born in, let me just, not sure what's going on here. Okay, I was born in a little town called Ottawa, Canada, and I was about as far away from the ocean as a person could be. But when I was 7 years old, I was lucky enough to have my father move us down to Barbados. And if you look on the left picture there, that's me standing in the careenage next to my very first submarine. And at that moment, the die was cast. I fell in love with the ocean at the tender age of 7, and I've been in love with the ocean ever since. In fact, when I was 13, I began scuba diving, and at 19, that picture on the right-hand side there is a picture of me when I began my commercial diving career. May not have been the smartest thing I ever did, but it led me to some pretty great places, and I have been incredibly fortunate. That's the first submarine that I dived in 1981. And I'll tell you, it was a transformative experience. As a diver, those of you who know anything about diving can be punitive in terms of decompression. It's punishing on your body. One of the wonderful things about a submersible is you get inside of it, you go as deep as you like, you stay as long as you want, and you never have to worry about decompression. I thought submersibles were fantastic. When I made that first dive at the age of 21, I never looked back and always wanted to work with submersibles. In 2006, I started Triton Submarines, and the picture that you see there is of the first 2 subs that we built. I want to take a moment to acknowledge Mr. Chris Klein, who was really the person that got the party started for us. Chris was a visionary, a mentor, a friend, and somebody who took a chance that I wasn't crazy and gave me an opportunity to build the 2 subs that you see right here. The first one in gold that's off in the distance there adorned the deck of his ship Mind Games for many years. And I'll always be grateful to Mr. Klein for giving me an opportunity to get my business started. We then graduated to a new sub called the Triton 3303, a little bit bigger, a little bit more spacious, could carry 3 people and dive to 3,300 feet or 1,000 meters. We've now built 9 of these subs. We're about to begin our 10th. And one of the things you'll notice about them is this beautiful transparent acrylic sphere. And that sphere is wonderful because it allows you to have a truly immersive underwater experience. You sit inside of this craft, it's quiet, it's comfortable, it's air conditioned, and you get to really, really enjoy the underwater world without any of the discomfort, any of the limitations that you would have as a diver. I'm going to play a short little video clip, a little bit of shameless self-promotion, but also a great little look at what we've done in the intervening 14 years.
Go into the Great Barrier Reef again.
I mean, I was in a very, very remarkable research site.
It was just unbelievable. We need to get hundreds of these. We need to get an armada. $14,000 meters.
Officially trumps anything I've done in my entire life, personal and professional.
So what I want to do tonight is I want to focus on 3 of my very special clients who are doing truly remarkable things with the submersibles that we've built for them. These individuals are mavericks, they are pioneers, visionaries, people who are taking their wealth and their passion and converting it into an opportunity for people who have a love of the ocean like me to explore the ocean, to study the ocean, and to make their platforms available. The first individual I want to highlight is a gentleman by the name of Mr. Ray Dalio. And Ray has been a great supporter of Triton since the very beginning. He was the first owner of our Triton 3303. And right out of the gate, you know, he went on this very ambitious project. We headed to Japan, where he decided he was going to film this documentary about deep sea sharks together with NHK and the Discovery Channel. To accomplish that, we lowered the sperm whale down to the seafloor. The seafloor, you can see it there with the clump weight holding it down. And the idea was to attract these monstrous sharks. The picture there, which I know is a little bit grainy because it was taken with a cell phone, and I apologize for that. I was looking today for a better photograph, but that beast is 6.5 meters, over 21 feet in length overall, a massive, massive animal. And on that very first dive at the sperm whale carcass, we had Ray's son, Mark Dallio, in the sub with us. And that animal laid actually up onto the acrylic where you could count the gills on the animal through the acrylic. When we came back up after the dive, Mark said to us, "Wow, that was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Does that happen all the time?" We said, "Oh yeah, that happens all the time." And I think that sealed his fate. He's now intertwined with OceanX, and he is a key part of their future. Right from the get-go, we finished in Sagami Bay in the northern part of Japan. We headed down to the southern part to Ogasawara, which is where we began this project that we affectionately called the Calamari Safari. It was an expedition ostensibly aimed at trying to film the giant squid, but of course nobody had any idea that we'd actually be successful. Remarkably, we were. You can see Dr. Edie Witter in there and her E-Jelly, which was one of the 3 scientists that was out there trying to figure out a way to attract the giant squid. In the end, we did film the giant squid. We captured not just a glimpse of the animal, but 22 minutes, if you can imagine, in high definition, a naturalist's wet dream. I describe it as it was something that everyone had wanted to see, but had been such an elusive animal. It had never been filmed in its natural environment. But 22 minutes from 2,000 feet to over 3,000 feet, and it became the most popular documentary in Discovery Channel history. So imagine that, Ray Dalio, right out of the gate, he knocks it out of the park. 2 remarkable documentaries, and I think he really caught the bug at that point, doubled down, as Phil was saying, and he began to make his sub and his ship available to the scientific community. Here is the submersible equipped with all kinds of specialty lights, cameras, sampling equipment, and this was something that Ray did. He funded an expedition for the American Museum of Natural History, and these little animals were where you can see that little oval organ under its eye. It's like an LED. They put out a bright light. It's the most incredible thing you've ever seen. But they were studying bioluminescence and biofluorescence, and the scientists wrote this paper that Ray found fascinating. So he funded the development of these fantastic cameras and lights. And then they went out there and they made a documentary called Creatures of Light. They did filming in Papua New Guinea. I love this picture, the juxtaposition of a modern submersible and the guys in the dugout canoes. It's truly fantastic. And I've had some wonderful adventures together with the OceanX team, formerly the Aleutian team. And now this is their new vessel. This vessel has just been launched. In fact, it's just been out doing sea trials, and they're making their first dive. Now the team has 2 of our Triton 3303s. These are the subs that you see directly behind me, and they have some very ambitious plans. And I'd like to share a very short video with you that I think you'll find fascinating about what they're hoping to do in the future, which is very ambitious and very exciting for all of us who love the ocean.
SO Nadir, hatch secure, life support running, and we are ready for the water.
Remarkable stuff here. Captured for the first time ever a giant squid in its natural habitat.
No one has dived to 1,000 meters in Antarctica.
My depth, 1,000 meters on bottom, over.
Today, we have ways of looking at the reef which give us a completely new vision of one of the greatest treasures of the natural world.
We're on a new frontier of ocean exploration that will bring out the explorer in all of us. We're partnering with the OceanX initiative to build a mind-blowing platform for exploration. A research vessel that's a one-of-a-kind ocean conservation and media platform to explore the world's oceans in ways that were never before possible, to create one big wave for the oceans.
I think it's really exciting. There's still a massive part of this planet we know nothing about.
We need to make people understand what we do in the next 10 years is going to determine what the ocean looks like in 200 years' time.
Every expedition is taking us towards learning more about our world.
Audiences glued to Blue Planet 2 have been starkly reminded of the problems of plastics pollution.
50 years ago, Jacques Cousteau and the Calypso managed to capture our imagination. Somehow we lost that moment. We have to get back that personal connection to the sea.
The greatest era of exploration is still ahead of us. Exploring the ocean can help provide a piece to the big puzzle.
So, you can imagine how inspiring it is for us and how fortunate we feel to have the opportunity to build the submersibles and underwater systems that are used by some of these entrepreneurial people. The latest project that we've undertaken is for a gentleman in Norway, Mr. Kjell Inge Rukke. You can see the picture in front of you of his vessel, which is going to be the largest yacht ever built. It's actually not a yacht, though. It's 182 meters in length overall. And this vessel is going to be entirely focused on marine science research and ocean exploration. The project, which is very ambitious, called Project Rev Ocean. This is $1 billion vessel, and the vessel will be equipped with submarines and ROVs and AUVs. And once again, this is an individual, a pioneer, an ocean advocate, somebody who has made tremendous wealth, in his case, actually from the ocean. He was in the fishing industry. Now he wants to give back. He wants to help further our knowledge and understanding of the ocean. And we need people like this. We need people who have that passion, have that means and that interest, and are willing to fund audacious projects. This is the submarine that we're building for Mr. Rukke. It will dive to 7,500 feet, making it the deepest diving acrylic submarine in history. It has a 13-inch thick pressure hull, and it will carry 3 people. And we'll be delivering that submarine in just about a year from now. Then I want to switch gears for just a moment and talk about a gentleman who I met actually 5 years ago. His name is Victor Vescovo. You may have been hearing quite a bit about him lately in the news. Recently, they took Kathy Sullivan on a dive to the bottom of the ocean. We were able to take as well several other explorers. The most recent diver was a Taiwanese national who works with the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, making him the deepest diving Taiwanese person. Anyway, it's been a fantastic project, maybe one of the most defining, if not the most defining and most fascinating project of my professional life. The gentleman is to the right there, and Victor is what I call a serial expeditionist. He's one of these guys that's just not content sitting on the couch. He completed the Explorer's Grand Slam, summited the tallest peaks on each of the 7 continents. He skied to the North and the South Pole, and then he decided he wanted to be able to dive to the deepest point in each of the 5 oceans. He came to us, didn't have a fully formed plan, just knew he wanted us to build him a submarine that could take him to the bottom of the ocean and do that in 5 different locations. And when he asked if we could do it, of course, my answer was yes. This actually shows you the expedition route that we traveled. It's a circuitous route. We call it a helical circumnavigation, beginning in the Atlantic Ocean, where we dive to the deepest point in the Atlantic, which is the Puerto Rican Trench at nearly 27,500 feet, then to the Southern Ocean, then the Indian Ocean, over to the Pacific, finally back through the Panama Canal with a stop at RMS Titanic, and then finishing up in the Arctic Ocean. I'm going to show you guys a video here at the very end that will encapsulate all that, but I just don't want to go long. I've already been on for about 15 minutes, and just quickly go through. That's a picture that was taken right after Victor made his historic first dive to the bottom of the Atlantic and the Puerto Rican Trench. I was extremely proud of him. I mean, this was his very first solo dive. Now, the sub is designed, engineered, and built to carry 2 people to the bottom of the ocean, but it was his desire to dive solo. So we trained him in a simulator, and you spend time with him in the sub, training him, but his actual first solo dive was this one, where he went to over 28,000 feet. Or over 27,500 feet. I was so proud of him. And this was a big moment for us because 2 days before that picture was taken with his thumb in the air, it didn't look good. In fact, it looked like the whole thing was coming off the rails, but that's probably a subject for another time when I've got more time. But let's just say this was the most difficult undertaking of my life, and certainly the lives of all of us who began it 5 years ago. We started in 2015. We delivered the submarine in the summer of 2018. We began the project in earnest in December of 2018 and completed it in the fall of 2019. During the course of the expedition, we traveled 50,000 nautical miles. We mapped more than 750,000 square kilometers of ocean, an area the size of Italy, collected 400,000 samples, and that included 40 new species. Inside now, you're looking at Victor inside the pressure hull of the Triton 36002, or he calls it the LF. The hull is made of titanium, 3.5 inches thick. It's actually very comfortable. 2 people can sit upright in that sphere for 12 to 14 hours, which is how long the dives are. It takes you about 3 or 4 hours to get to the bottom and a similar amount of time to get back up. And usually you want to spend 3 or 4 hours on the bottom. So they're exceedingly long dives. Passenger comfort was critically important. Here's an example of a species that we filmed. And this was a thing called a stalked Decidian. No one had ever seen it before. No one knew what it was. And it is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. Looks like a balloon animal on a stick. And it just goes to show you how much more there is still for us to learn about the ocean. It's a fascinating place, and most of it is unexplored, particularly these Hadal trenches, which is where we're diving. There's a picture of the sub. You can see the 3 viewports. Got a face on it that only a mother could love, but I'm extremely proud of that vehicle. As I said, it's been the culmination of my professional career. You can see it's an unusual looking craft. It's actually quite tall and thin and wide, and it's shaped that way for a reason. It's designed to actually travel through the water column at a pretty high rate of speed, or at least a high rate of speed for a submersible, about 3 or 3.5 knots. So you can get to the seafloor, to the bottom in about 3 hours or 3.5 hours. And here's a stop that we made with along the way at Titanic. We did a couple of 4K. Actually, there was a documentary that came out. It was the first 4K footage that had been filmed of Titanic ever. And it was the first time we'd actually visited the wreck in something like 15 years. I had the privilege of making 3 dives to the wreck. It was really quite beautiful. Sad, of course, to be at a scene where, or at a site where there was so much human suffering. But if you look at the picture, you'll see the soft and hard corals that are growing on the side of the wreck. It's really become a sanctuary for marine life, 12,500 feet under the Atlantic. There's a picture of Victor after we completed the mission, a great moment for all of us, and the culmination of, or the completion of a very difficult, arduous project. One I'm deeply grateful to Victor for making it possible to us to participate in. It's funny, I think I can look back in the clients and mentors that I've had throughout my career that have made it possible for us to achieve remarkable things. And this revolutionary new sub that we developed wouldn't have happened without his willingness to fund such an audacious program. I mean, people thought we were crazy, but the good thing is we actually accomplished it. Picture me after I climbed out of the submarine following my second dive to full ocean depth, 35,850 feet. And during that dive, I actually recovered a lander that was stuck in the mud. My team around me, and here they are, the Magnificent Seven, a group of people. I don't think I've ever been more proud of a group of people in my entire life than I was of those guys. They worked their hearts out. They still are out there right now. And what they accomplished is really nothing short of historic. I've got a short video here I'd like to share with you that summarizes the expedition. Execute a great dive. Thank you very much. I hope so.
Go ahead, response.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I tried to find out who the first person to dive to the bottom of the 5 oceans was. And then it hit me with the realization of, goodness gracious, no one has actually been to all 5. And what a fun adventure that would be.
LF, you're clear to begin your diving procedure.
The deep ocean is Earth's last frontier.
You are clear to dive.
Thank you. See you all on the other side.
This became the deepest dive in history, right here. Don Walsh and Jacques Piccard dove in 1960. Cameron dived in 2012. Victor was able to get to the site. Actually, 7 meters. Actually, 12 meters quicker than anybody else. Not a lot. Depth.
Surface, LF, depth.
Oh shit, beg your pardon. I don't know what happened there. I apologize. Let me just, I'll zoom ahead here. Wow, I apologize. Just give me 1 second here, folks. I do apologize.
Hey, Patrick.
Yes.
It's Reggie. And so why don't we have you come back to us, stop sharing your screen, because we have some questions that people have sent in, and we'd love to ask you some of these questions.
I apologize. I kind of blew that. I touched my screen and it.
No problem. No problem. Hey, thank you so much. That was a fascinating presentation, and it's great to learn some of the work that you've been doing. And we've got some questions that have been submitted. One is, what parallels do you see with Elon Musk and space exploration and your team exploring the depths of the ocean?
Well, I think there are interesting parallels. Of course, space is the thing that seems...
And your microphone is off. Are you... Okay. Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, so I think there's interesting parallels that can be drawn. Of course, space seems to be the thing that captivates people's imagination more than the ocean, which, is sort of unfortunate because the ocean, which is, part of our planet, which is the life force of our planet, provides the air that we breathe, the oxygen that we need to breathe, the food, and controls our climate. It's a fantastically interesting part of our world. When you go into space, of course, you're dealing with the absence of one atmosphere. When you go to the bottom of the ocean, you're dealing with 1,100 atmospheres. I think what people like Ray Dalio are doing with Ocean X is critically important. It's critically important to furthering our knowledge of the ocean, and also it's critically important to our future as well.
Great. So on that note, we have a question here. What opportunities do you see coming out of exploring the deepest depths of the ocean?
Well, I think the fact that we can actually get there has fundamentally changed our relationship with these deepest and most remote parts of our ocean. Up until now, up until the Triton 36002 was launched, there'd only been 2 dives made to those depths. But now we're making repeated dives into these hadal trenches. Some people believe the origins to life on Earth, solutions to our energy and food problems, it might be found in the deep ocean. And the fact is, it's a part of our world that we've never visited. The hadal trenches, which start at about 6,000 meters and go to 11,000 meters, represent only about 2% of the bottom of the ocean, or 2% of the ocean. But that 2% is an area the size of the continental United States. So you get an idea of just how vast it is and how much there still is to discover.
Wow, that is amazing. Another question that we received, do you see submarines growing in size to accommodate more people?
Sure. In fact, we just delivered a sub that carries 24 passengers, and it's going to begin operations later on this year. Certainly, there are lots of tourist submarines out there already, some of them carrying as many as 46 people, and one even in Hawaii that carries 66 people. It's a great way to get a large number of people down into the ocean and to see the world from that perspective. Not everybody's lucky enough to get the opportunity to dive in a sub. I wish more people did, because I can guarantee you every time a person gets in a sub, they become an advocate for the ocean. You can't help it.
Oh, that is cool. Hey, so if you had a choice, where would you go on your next dive?
Well, if I had an opportunity to go back to a site that I thought was fascinating, it was the Java Trench. We did some dives in the deepest point in the Indian Ocean, the Java Trench. And some of the things that we saw there were truly remarkable. We saw these bacterial mats. We saw, these are These are called subduction zones in our oceans. And so there's all kinds of activity. There's animals that are living on chemicals that are belching out of the ocean. It's just an almost otherworldly, even though it is part of our world. So if I had an opportunity to do more dives, that's where I'd head.
All right. And then final question, what does it feel like to be in a submarine? I mean, for a landlocked guy like me or most Americans, we really can't even imagine what it must feel like to do that.
It's actually really comfortable. You climb inside the sub, you close the hatch, hopefully you remember to do that. And then when you submerge, you stay at ambient pressure, you stay at surface pressure. So, you're at the same pressure you and I are at right now, regardless of how deep you go. So you don't have any of the punishing forces of the ocean on you like you would as a diver. You don't have any of the limitations that you do as a diver. You get to go and experience the ocean. It's really a sublime experience because it's quiet, it's peaceful. Most of our subs are climate controlled. They've got leather seating, cup holders. You can have a drink, you can have a conversation. It's like sitting in your living room, only instead of watching the TV, you're looking out and at the magnificence of the ocean.
Well, Patrick Lahey, thank you very much. This was a fascinating presentation. The work you've done is amazing and continue to do, and I can't wait to see what comes next. Earlier, you used the phrase calamari safari, and I was thinking, man, squid playing around.
Reggie, thank you very much, and thank you all for allowing me to make that presentation this evening. It's been a great pleasure, and I wish you all a wonderful evening. Thank you for including me.
Of course. Thank you, Patrick.
Sorry I messed up the video.
All right, and we want to say thank you to all of us for joining us for MIASF's first ever virtual annual meeting. We hope you enjoyed it. We appreciate your support. We want to invite you to attend our after party. What? This virtual event has an after party? Yeah. We'll close out with this video telling you about the after party, but thank you again, everybody, and have a great night.
Here's to a great annual meeting that I'm sure went off without a hitch.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We hope you had a great time. Zoom on over to that after party. We'll see you there.
Cheers.
Cheers. Sit up straight. Shoulders back.
That made me laugh. All right, guys, we are 6 weeks. All right, start over.
Start over because I was ready to make a joke.
What about Brad Pitt? What about George Clooney? What about Brad Pitt?
Or George Clooney. What about Carol Baskin? That's what this is. See, you should have just
That's what happened. That's what happened in this Carol Baskin group. Does anybody know how to get in touch with any of these people?
No. That's a good point. Okay. Oh, no. Zoom on over to that after party. We'll see you there. Cheers.
Okay, so when you do the cheers, you're covering your face with it?
Me.
That was our purpose.
Cheers.
So just kind of like